Since Donald Trump launched his bid for president nearly a year and a half ago, reports of violence at Trump rallies have surfaced again and again.
I'd like to punch him in the face, I'll tell you.
But now the controversial undercover conservative group Project Veritas has released a video that it claims shows Democratic operatives conspiring to incite violence at Trump events.
There's a script.
Okay.
There's a script of engagement. Sometimes the crazies bite and sometimes the crazies don't bite.
That's one of the key figures in the video, Scott Fovell, who was identified as the national field director for the progressive group Americans United for Change.
The whole point of it is we know that Trump's people will freak the his security team will freak out, and his supporters will lose their.
It's a process called bird dogging, where the trained provocateurs infiltrate political rallies, then provoke supporters into acting out. The group claims this spliced video shows Democratic operatives feeding the narrative that Trump fans are dangerous and violent. The video shows Fovell claiming that he's directly coordinating with the Clinton campaign and DNC.
We were contracted directly with the DNC and the campaign. Both.
The protesters are paid a lot of money by the DNC, and I kept saying, I wonder why those people are here, because they never seem to have much on their mind other than stand up and protest. And yesterday it came out, but it was barely covered.
It's very clear Democratic operatives were plotting ways that they could commit widespread voter fraud. Watch this video.
Steve was talking to Scott about, he passed on to me, and I think it's one of the reasons why I got in touch with you. He envisioned, what do you need to be able to vote in some of these new voter? What do you really need? Right. Okay. What makes you a citizen? Yeah. And if you look at that checklist, it's an ID card of any kind that shows you who you are. Right. And a pay stub that shows you're getting paid at a local address someplace.
I mean, to get registered.
Yeah, to get registered.
Yeah.
So you go in and register. If you have those two things, you're registered to vote. Yeah. So if you, let's say I had a business inside of, say, Illinois or Michigan, and I hired people, and I had addresses for them, I could write them checks for those. I could use them as day laborers or whatever, and use them and find my way around the voter registration laws for Hispanics. That's one thing. I'm actually, that idea, when he gave it to me, I was like, that sounds like something we could register huge numbers of people that way. Well, that kind of thing kind of stuck in my craw when he mentioned it to me.
All right, let me, on that front, I'm going to write down these options. Let me see if I can chat with the people who are most involved in Hispanic voter registration.
Yesterday, we've got the video and we got the connections where the money comes from the campaign. It goes to the DNC, it goes to the Democracy Project, and it goes right to these dark arts political operatives that are fomenting, basically violence at Trump events and a false narrative. Now, you watch the tape today, and here they are plainly saying and orchestrating voter fraud on a massive level. What's your reaction to it?
Well, first of all, we also now have actual checks cut by the campaign to one of the operatives. So I have a very simple first question. Where is the FBI? Why is the FBI not investigating this? If you have a deliberate, willful effort to foment violence, to break up a presidential campaign, to intimidate voters, where's the Federal Bureau of Investigation? I know Comey's in the tank for Hillary, but he has some obligation to enforce the law, and the FBI should be opening up an investigation of these people right now, including an investigation of the people at the Clinton campaign who were paying these people.
Well, let's go through the money where they actually explain it in their own words. It says the campaign pays the DNC pays Democracy Partners pays the Fovell Group, and they go out and execute either the intimidation, the violence, or the voter fraud. So I don't even know where to begin here. If Comey hasn't done anything, they're talking about Congress investigating before the election, but you and I both know that Congress is not going to get that job done.
Look, I think that Speaker Ryan and Majority Leader McConnell should both, in a direct letter to Comey and to the Attorney General, insist that the FBI now, immediately before the election, investigate this. This is intimidation, which is against federal law. It is a violation of federal election law. It is a level of collusion between the campaign, the Democratic National Committee, these outside groups. It's amazing how fast the Obama administration could get FBI agents to a variety of places that fit their agenda, and how impossible it is to get them to simply enforce the law. But the first demand here should be, this is not about politics. This is not about you and me talking. This is about a fundamental threat to our democracy, and the Federal Bureau of Investigation has an absolute obligation.
You have Hillary Clinton on the email server scandal. She was tipped off by the State Department, tipped off by the Justice Department. We now know that emails were sent back and forth between Hillary and Obama, and we now know Obama lied when he said, "Oh, I learned about it just like you. I learned about it from the press." Well, he didn't learn about it from the press because he was sending emails himself. And then you've got Podesta and other Clinton operatives talking about not sending what was a subpoenaed email between the POTUS, the president, and Secretary Clinton. And I'm thinking, so you got collusion not only in the email scandal, now you're talking about collusion here.
I mean, every time you turn around, this is a conspiracy of crime carried out by a wide range of people who seem to be absolutely oblivious to the law. I mean, they don't even think about the fact they're breaking the law because it doesn't matter to them. And I suspect in the back of their heads, they all assume in the end that Barack Obama will pardon them if anything actually comes down.
On the tape yesterday, Fogle actually goes into how the operation is set up. Now, this is beyond the money that I just described as it's passed back and forth, but they set it up to allow the DNC and the Clinton campaign, in his words, not mine, plausible deniability in the event that the true nature of the deliberate violence is discovered. The thing that we have to watch is to make sure there's a double blind between the actual campaign, the actual DNC, and what we're doing. The double blind is there so they can have plausible deniability that they heard anything about it. Isn't that an admission that they know about it and they're just protecting them in case they get caught?
Of course. Look, a conspiracy to avoid people knowing that there's a conspiracy is still a conspiracy. What this guy is describing to you and what the flow of money seems to be describing is that they had a willful and deliberate effort to set out to violate the law, to intimidate American voters, and to do so on behalf of a campaign which was funneling money to them. Now, I don't care how many linkage points there are. If it turns out the campaign was funneling the money and people clearly understood what they were doing. I mean, you know the campaign was happy the day that there was so much threat of violence that Trump had to abandon his rally in the south side of Chicago.
Well,
and
Hillary actually made a statement about it.
They didn't know that.
Yeah, and then Hillary makes a statement condemning the violence that her operatives organized, orchestrated, and made happen.
The ugly, divisive rhetoric we are hearing from Donald Trump and the encouragement he has given to violence and aggression is not only wrong, it's dangerous, my friends.
And basically everything she was saying about Trump, she was the one that was guilty of. Do you think that, coupled with the WikiLeaks revelations, what impact is this going to have on the race?
I think all of it wears down on Clinton. I think all of it makes her even less desirable, even more frightening. I mean, if you have people doing this now, can you imagine if she has the power of the presidency, the kind of things she will do, how dangerous she will be to our civil liberties, and how willing she will be to go after people in ways that are very, very, I think, dangerous to the whole survival of the rule of law in this country.
Now, we do have the latest revelations today, and I'll put that up on the screen with a long list of other things that I think would probably prevent any other person in the country from ever becoming president. The new revelations are simple. Clinton wanted Obamacare to unravel, I assume because she wants a single payer. Podesta called Senator Bernie Sanders a doofus. The campaign found a gender pay gap at the Clinton Foundation. Podesta listed potential VP candidates by racial and gender food groups. And aides thought Obama's remarks about the private server didn't make sense. Now, I'm going to continue to roll all of the earlier revelations that most people don't seem to know, but you can even take it back further. When Debbie Wasserman Schultz was fired, there was racism and sexism and misogyny and anti-Semitism on full display by the Democrats. In other words, the very things they always accuse Republicans of.
96% of the money given by reporters to campaigns this year, 96% went to Hillary Clinton. That is a 24-to-1 ratio, and it tells you why you're dealing with this constant barrage of propaganda masquerading as news.
It's NBC. Literally, they're fed questions when Hillary's going to be interviewed. It's CNN operatives feeding questions to the Clinton campaign in advance of a town hall. It's the AP that have friendlies that they go to. It's the Atlantic. It's John Harwood at CNBC. It's the LA Times, the New York Times. It's Salon. It's the San Francisco Chronicle, the Boston Globe. Cheryl Atkinson, who used to work at CBS, had an interesting piece that she put out. She calls it Newsgate 2016. I'll read you a small piece of it. She says, independent minds should be concerned about the latest revelations in the news media's unseemly relationships with government and political actors. While there are many responsible journalists working today, inside documents and leaks have exposed serious lapses constituting the most far-reaching scandal our industry has known. It's our very own Newsgate. I think that's I think that's true. That captures pretty well how deep this runs here.
And the point Cheryl's making is this is the largest example of total one-sided bias in the history of the American media. They should seriously consider dropping the term Columbia School of Journalism and replacing it with Columbia School of Propaganda. Just to be honest, we're not talking about news media, we're talking about propaganda. CNN is a propaganda machine. MSNBC is a propaganda machine. What the networks did the night that the Trump tape came out, when they put in 23 minutes on an 11-year-old tape, and the three of them combined put in 57 seconds covering WikiLeaks, that's pure propaganda.